well-being and the healthy development of our children depend on a healthy environment. The natural environment provides the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat. Spending time in nature, whether in a park or a garden, on a lake or in a forest, can bring a sense of calm and connection. Our environments also include our homes, workplaces, towns, and cities. These are all part of the built environment. Sometimes our natural and built environments are contaminated with chemicals that may be harmful to our health. These chemicals come from modern-day activities, such as industry, agriculture, and transportation, as well as from day-to-day products, such as cleaners, personal care products, and chemicals used to make items we have in our homes. These chemicals can end up in our air, water, food, soil, homes, workplaces, and neighborhoods. Scientists call these environmental chemicals. Not all environmental chemicals cause harm to people or other living things, but some of them do. Harmful chemicals are often called toxic chemicals. A wide array of chemicals, including naturally occurring substances such as lead and mercury, as well as human-made or synthetic chemicals, have been linked to health problems. Some toxic chemicals can harm the brain, interfere with our body's hormones or immune systems, or contribute to chronic diseases such as asthma, heart disease, and cancer. We can be exposed to environmental chemicals when we breathe polluted air, both indoors and out. We can ingest environmental chemicals when eating or drinking. For example, our food may contain small amounts of pesticides or traces of chemicals used in food packaging. Chemicals can also enter our bodies through the skin. Most environmental chemicals are present in such small amounts we don't even know they are there. We usually cannot see, smell, or taste them. Once inside a pregnant person's body, environmental chemicals can reach the fetus in the womb. Scientists work to understand which chemicals are harmful. They measure the amounts of various chemicals people are exposed to from air, water, food, and household products. They then look to see if people with higher exposures are more likely to develop health problems. Using special equipment, scientists can measure even tiny amounts of environmental chemicals in samples of urine, blood, hair, nail clippings, breast milk, and even the first poop of a newborn baby. This is called biomonitoring. By doing biomonitoring, scientists have shown that all of us carry small amounts of many different chemicals in our bodies. The amount of chemicals in our bodies is sometimes called a body burden. People have different body burdens depending on where they live, the places they spend time, what foods they eat, and what products and furnishings they are exposed to. The amounts of environmental chemicals that end up in our bodies is only part of the picture. When we are exposed to chemicals is also important. This is because our bodies are changing throughout our lives. The prenatal period and childhood are especially vulnerable when it comes to the harm that can be caused by environmental chemicals. During these early life stages, a child's brain and organ systems are rapidly developing. Because of this rapid development, toxic chemical exposures that happen in the womb or in childhood may lead to lifelong effects on health and learning, and may make it more likely that the child will develop chronic diseases later in life. Even the environmental chemicals that the parents were exposed to before conception can affect a child's health. Understanding how the health risks posed by environmental chemicals may differ based on when the exposures happen is an important piece of the puzzle. If we know when the risks are highest, we can do more to protect vulnerable life stages so that all children can get a healthy start on life. Scientists have developed a way of putting together the puzzle pieces of how much we are exposed to and when those exposures are happening in order to gain a clearer picture of what it all means for our health. It is a type of research called a longitudinal cohort study. Longitudinal means over time. A longitudinal study follows people over months or even years to help figure out how exposures during one life stage, such as fetal development or childhood, may lead to health risks later in life, such as during adolescence or adulthood. A cohort is a group of people who share a common characteristic, such as their age or whether or not they are pregnant. By including many people, cohorts make it possible for scientists to see patterns of connection between chemical exposures and health effects. If a connection between a chemical exposure and a health effect is observed in one person, that might mean the chemical is contributing to the problem, but it would be impossible to be sure. If, however, the same connection is seen in many people, scientists can be more sure of the link between the chemical and the health outcome. But who are all these people in these studies? They are regular people like you and me. They have decided to participate in the research to help scientists find the answers that will ultimately keep us all safer. Participants in a longitudinal cohort study may have learned about the chance to get involved when accessing health care from a social services provider or when taking a prenatal class. Their doctor, nurse, midwife, or other service provider may have shared information about the study to help them make an informed decision about whether or not to join. When signing up to be part of a longitudinal cohort study, participants agree to provide some information about themselves. They also agree to be contacted by the research team over the course of the study. Research participants are asked to provide information such as their age, where they live, what type of job or other activities they are involved in, the types of foods they eat, and what products they use in the home. This information helps the scientists understand which environmental chemicals participants may be exposed to in their day-to-day lives. Research participants will also often be asked to provide samples from their bodies, such as urine, blood, or hair, so that the scientists can measure their body burdens of specific chemicals. These samples, or biospecimens, may be collected just once or twice in the study or at various points over months or years. Participants always have the option to say no to certain parts of the study and may withdraw at any time. Researchers will also ask the study participants if they are willing to allow their biospecimens to be stored in a biobank for future research. Having a biobank with biospecimens from many people is like filling up a library. It enables scientists to go back to the biospecimens later on to learn more about chemical exposures. Just like adding books to a library, contributing their biospecimens to a biobank is a powerful way for research participants to support new knowledge about environmental chemicals and health. Through longitudinal cohort studies and biomonitoring, and with the help of research participants like you and me, scientists are able to piece together the puzzle of which environmental chemicals people are exposed to, where, when, in what amounts, and in what combinations. They can start to understand what those patterns of exposure mean for our health. For some of the chemicals being studied, scientists may find that there's no increase in the risk of getting specific diseases or other health problems. Or they may end up with new questions that need to be addressed. In some cases, scientists may find that higher exposures to certain chemicals or groups of chemicals are associated with health risks. Understanding the links between environmental chemicals and health problems is important knowledge. If we know about these connections, we can work to prevent exposures to chemicals known or suspected of being harmful. As individuals, there are some things we can do to reduce our exposures, such as avoiding fragrance products or cleaning with baking soda and vinegar instead of store-bought cleaners that contain harsh chemicals. But these individual actions are not a real solution to the problem. Bigger changes are needed. As a society, we can take action to prevent harmful chemicals from getting into our environments in the first place. Laws and regulations to ban or limit toxic chemicals are particularly effective because they tackle the source of the problem and therefore protect everyone. In fact, as a result of changes in laws and regulations over the years, body burdens of lead, BPA, some flame retardants, and other harmful chemicals have decreased in the general population. We all deserve healthy environments in which to live, learn, work, play, and grow. With scientists, decision makers, and community members all working together, we can prevent harmful chemical exposures and help to ensure that all of us, including our children and future generations, can follow a pathway to lifelong health.